What's going on, people? Episode 4 of Me, Myself and I. And this week, I want to address a question that I get asked quite a lot. And that is how to get into voiceovers. Now, some of you may or may not know that amongst other things, I work as a voice actor and I'm a freelance continuity announcer for the BBC. And for those of you who aren't sure what a continuity announcer is, it's this.
Okay guys, first position, let's go.
So the cat's finally out of the bag. Sorry, couldn't resist. Find out what's next for the Slaters in an hour. Now on BBC One, time to take our first trip this week to the One Show sofa. As well as this, I've voiced documentaries for Channel 4 and for Channel 5.
Coming up in tonight's show, we catch up with a compulsive uploader who's more in love with his hashtags than his other half.
So how did I get into voiceovers? Well, totally by accident, to be honest. So around 2003, I'm working in the city for a financial software company, and my two good friends, Melvin O'Doom and Ricky Hayward-Williams, are both working for BBC Radio 1 Extra as broadcast assistants. One day I get a call from Melv and he says,
"Hello Russ, it's Melvin. I'm just at work at 1 Extra and we need someone to do the voice of a Cockney gangster. So if you're about and you're free, that would be amazing. You're obviously like the first person that I thought of. So yeah, if you want to do some voiceover work, just give me a shout. All right, peace, man."
So I'm like, all right then, geezer, no problem. All right, I didn't say it like that, but you catch my drift. So anyway, I head down there after work and I'm introduced to Patrick McDowell and Bernard the Champong. And if you haven't already, click here to watch the Grind Hustle Repeat with Bernard. It's a really good one. The skit is for Manny Norte's show. I'm gassed because Manny's a DJ you can trust. Anyway, they hand me the script and I do my thing. But once I'm finished, Patrick actually asked me if I wouldn't mind coming and doing some other voiceover work because they quite like the sound of my natural voice. So I did, and that was my entry into the world of voiceovers. Over the next few years, I became the station sound for 1 Extra, even helping them win a Sony Station Imaging Award in 2005 for Best Station Sound. Now, during that time, I gained an agent, got additional work from companies like Lebera Mobile and Malibu, and then eventually ended up on the continuity team at the BBC. And it was at the BBC that I learned my most important lesson of owning your voice. Not long after joining, I caused a little bit of a stir, all because of my accent. So I'm an East Londoner. I don't necessarily have a typical East London accent, but it's definitely there. However, after an evening announcing on BBC One, primetime Saturday night, I seem to have upset a number of people, all because of my accent and pronunciation. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it's very daunting to wake up one morning and find yourself splashed across all of the newspapers just because of the way you talk. I even found myself the subject of a radio phone-in, basically discussing my accent and whether or not it was okay for somebody who spoke like me to be on the BBC. Now, my initial reaction was one of horror because obviously this was all a bit of a shock. But number one, I have to shout out the BBC for being really supportive and making it abundantly clear that they support and champion diverse voices. Eventually, I decided to clap back and I wrote an article in The Guardian, clapping back to those who ridiculed my accent because I felt that actually what they were doing was highlighting their ignorance, not mine, and also highlighting the point that their petty prejudice was a barrier for people like me to work in places like the BBC. Look, I'm proud of my accent, I'm proud of where I'm from, and I'm proud to work for a broadcaster who championed diversity. I'm not gonna lie, there was a point at the beginning where I felt like I was gonna need to switch up the way that I sound, but I was promptly reminded that I was hired because of the way that I sound. But anyway, enough about me. This video is about how to get into voiceovers and specifically 5 things that you can do to kickstart your voiceover career. Number 1, read, read, read. Read out aloud as much as you can and whatever you can. Look, magazines, books, billboards, the internet, what you're reading doesn't matter. But the fact that you're reading aloud does. Look, it sounds obvious, but that's what voiceover artists do. And the more you can perfect it, the better you'll become. And if you can record it on your phone to listen back, even better. The more you practice, the more confidence you'll get and the more you'll be able to find and own your voice. As well as reading, grab some tongue twisters off the internet and practice those every day. A couple that I love are Betty bought a bit of butter, but the bit of butter Betty bought was bitter. So Betty bought another bit of butter to make the bitter butter better. And articulatory agility is a desirable ability manipulating with dexterity the tongue, the palate, and the lips. There's so many out there, so get online, have a look, find some, and practice, practice, practice. Number 2, home recording. Now more than ever, it's actually really important for you to be able to record from home. And if you're serious about this voiceover life, it's something you'll need to invest in. Naturally, you'll need a microphone. Now, I use a Rode NTA and I highly recommend it. I record onto a Zoom H6 recorder, also highly recommended, but you'll also need a place where you can record. Now, I'm lucky as I have a vocal booth built that I use, but there are so many cheaper options that you could use. There are loads of videos on YouTube on how to create a cheap vocal booth. Check them out, or at the very least, find a wardrobe and whack that duvet over your head and get recording. Number 3, content to record. Once you're confident with how you sound, you'll need to work out where your voice will best fit in. When I was younger, my voice was great for the 1Xtra audience. Now I'm a little older, not so much. But then that opened up different opportunities, such as continuity and documentaries. What I always tell people is to find a magazine that represents the demographic that you think your voice fits into. Have a read through and pick out some adverts. Practice and record. This is a great, easy way to build up your voice reel. Number 4, try and get some gigs. Naturally, you'll want to start earning money, and an easy way into that is to use sites like Fiverr and Mandy. Now, full disclosure, I haven't used Fiverr myself, but again, if you do a quick search on YouTube, you'll find there seem to be a number of people using the site to make good money. I have, however, used Mandy to get voiceover gigs, so if you aren't signed up to these sites, I suggest you do and start applying for some gigs. Number 5, get an agent. You don't need an agent to have a successful career as a voiceover artist, but it's definitely beneficial to find one and to find the right one. Look, don't feel disheartened going with a smaller agent as opposed to going with a big name agent. Ultimately, you want an agent that is really interested in you and wants to see you win, because if you win, they win. You get paid, they get paid. Even when you do get an agent, don't think that you can just kick back and wait for the phone to ring. You have to keep working hard so you can make a name for yourself in this competitive industry. As I said at the beginning of this video, I got my way in through my friends. I also got into documentaries, again, through people that I know. So actually, networking and making friends and talking to people is a really important way to also get yourself work and to get yourself known. So, to recap, read out loud whenever you can. Practice, man. Practice, practice, practice. Get set up so you can record from home. Record adverts from a magazine to practice and build a reel. Use services like Fiverr and Mandy to start getting paid work, and then look for an agent. Now, my disclaimer. I'm not saying that if you do all of this, it's going to happen for you. But what I am saying is that if you haven't done any of this, at a minimum, you may not be as serious as you thought. Thank you for your time. And if this video has been useful in any way, shape or form, don't be greedy. Share it with your friends.